For my New Year's resolution, I've decided to do a daily drawing or painting and post on the internet. So here I'm showing part of my process. I decided to do a 7-day themed project with just working on a blue background. So what I've done is I've created 10 panels to work on, which are just the index cards that I'm using for this project, the 5x7 index cards. This is acrylic paint that I've watered down to like a watercolor consistency, and then I just lightly brush it on. That's a nylon brush. I think I got a 3-pack of them for like $5, real inexpensive, and I'm intentionally leaving it the streaks in there, so it's not just a solid background. I want it to have a little variety in the background, so I'm leaving some of the streaks in there just to add a little variety. So these are mounted on masonite, and I just kind of set up a bunch of these, and you'll notice that the paper does warp a little bit. So what I do is I put the light acrylic wash on it, and then I'll set them out to dry. So here I'm speeding up the video because I don't think you want to watch me set up 10 of these. I know I said I'm going to do 7 of them, but I'm making 10 just in case I ruin one, which I ended up ultimately ruining 2 of them, so it was a good idea. I tried to flatten them using an iron, which didn't work because they got all brown, so 2 of the cards got ruined. But I still had 8 left, which was fine. So here now it's going back to regular motion. It's going to cut to showing them finished in a second, which I think is a good idea. So the masking tape that I'm using, I try to take some of the stickiness off of it so it doesn't lift the paper. Here's all 10 of them with the wash. And you can see that there's a variety in the tones that I put on there. I think if it was too solid, it would look just kind of boring, so I want to add a little variety. Here I'm cutting them to size. The cards come 5x8, so what I'm doing is I'm trimming a 1/2 inch off of both sides. And this way, if I screw up a little bit, I have a little wiggle room to go back and adjust it, which I think I did right for this one. So I'm able to cut them to size, and you can still see they're not perfectly flat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take them and put them into the binders that I use these binders that I picked up on Amazon. I think they're like $5 a piece. They're cheap, and they hold 48 images in it, so this way I don't have them floating all over my house. So I put them in here until I need them, and it will also flatten them out quite a bit but when I actually end up using them. And you can see there's a little bit of, they're not totally flat. Sitting in here for a couple days will flatten them out a little bit more, which helps. But I actually kind of like that they're not perfectly flat, so when I'm doing my drawing, it adds a little quirkiness to it, you know. But if I wanted to get them totally flat, I could press them for, a couple weeks in a book or something, and it will just be perfect. It'll be, perfectly flat. And I've been doing these for years, where I put a ground on a piece of heavier paper. Even just regular cheap drawing paper, I'll do it sometimes too, just to kind of add a little something to the white, because after drawing on white, it's hard to build your values. The reason I chose blue is just because I like blue. So here's the final projects. So there's the 7 images I created. Here's an anatomical dog that I found some reference on the internet. So I just kind of bounced around. Someone asked me to draw a Dalmatian, a greyhound, and it doesn't quite look like a greyhound. Justin and I have a couple cartoony ones in here because I like doing cartoony stuff. And you can see that the backgrounds aren't monotonous. Sometimes I'll add stuff to the background as well, like with the last one. Here again, I'm jumping back to kind of a cartoony, iconic, a dog sitting in a corner. I don't know, I like Beagle. That's the image I found, so I drew this one. The German Shepherd was fun to draw as well. So that's the series. This is what I ended up with. And there's all 7 of them, so that's the 7-day project.